Hey, good looking. I'm so glad that you came to my kitchen today to sit there and see what we all have cooking. Grab a hold of that vine, swing right on in my kitchen, and let's get cooking. Good looking. Hey there, good looking. I'm so glad that you came to my kitchen today because I have a copycat recipe of the Wonder Bread. So I figured I'd bring you along and show you how we get her done. So first, I'm gonna need 1¼ cups of warm water. So let's go ahead and add the water. Now, we're gonna need 2½ teaspoons of instant yeast. So let's go ahead and add that. One tablespoon of sugar. And 4 cups of flour. So let's add the flour, and I'll go ahead and add the other 3. And there goes the last cup. 1/4 cup of instant potato flakes. 1/4 cup powdered milk. 1/4 cup of sugar. Now you're probably wondering, why is she adding sugar again? Well, the first tablespoon was to help activate the yeast. This is for the bread recipe. So add 1/4 cup of sugar and add 2 tablespoons of butter. And the last ingredient, 2 teaspoons of salt. Now, this is gonna make 1 2-pound loaf of bread. So, you have to remember that. You're making 2-pound loaf of a Wonder Bread here. So remember. Now, I don't sit there and use my bread machine to bake my bread. I always put my bread machine recipes in my dough pan, or my bread pan here, and I set it on the dough setting. I let the bread machine do all of its little magic for me. It will sound off when the dough is ready for me to form. In fact, I've been making bread for well over 30 some years, and I've always used a bread machine. I've never used my KitchenAid mixer. I've known a lot of people that have burnt up their KitchenAid mixers trying to do homemade bread. So I don't want to sit there and see you guys ruin your KitchenAid mixers. Maybe go down to a Goodwill store or to a St. Vincent de Paul store. You can always find used bread machines down there, and they're rather cheap. The bread machine sounded off, so I went ahead, I brought the bread pan over here to the counter. Now, I'm just simply gonna sit there and divide the dough up between my cast iron bread pan and my glass bread pan. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna show you it first before I remove it from the bread pan. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove it and we'll be right back. Okay, I removed it. Now, I'm just gonna put it down on my counter. I'm gonna grab my bench scraper and I'm just gonna cut the dough in half. So let's go ahead. And this is just a rough estimate. It's not precise. Alright, there's our 2 halves. Now, I'm gonna sit there and shape each one of these halves into a nice long roll to fit the inside of my loaf pans. Alright, let's shape that loaf all the way up and let's put it right into one of our loaf pans. So what I like to do, I like to spread it out a little bit and then I'll flip it over, stretch it out just a little bit more, and then I just like rolling it in on itself. Make sure you have the seam on the bottom. Now with the ends, go ahead and just push them on in. Do the same with this end. Push that end right on in on itself. Kind of get it back into the long shape. I'm going to bring my pan over here and I'm just going to sit there and see. Ooh, look at that. Right on. So I'm just going to pick up, and I've already greased my cast iron loaf pan. Now, seam side down, I'm just gonna sit there and put that all right inside of my bread pan. I'm gonna repeat the same procedure as what I just showed you right here, and we're gonna make a second loaf. So I'm gonna spread it out a little bit. We're gonna turn it over. We're gonna roll it in on itself. We're gonna place it seam side down. We're gonna sit there, push our ends right on in on itself as such. Turn it over and do the same on this side. And then kind of shape it back into the long loaf. I like to look at that. So I'm just gonna grab my loaf, and again, I've already went ahead and I've oiled or greased up my bread pan, seam side down, and we're just gonna sit there and push this right down into our bread pan. Now I'm gonna go grab myself a kitchen towel. We're gonna put a kitchen towel over our loaves of bread dough here, and we're gonna sit there and let the bread dough double. Now here's my kitchen towel. Like I said, I'm just gonna put it right over the top of my dough, and we're just gonna let our dough work its little magic and double in size. Let's take a look at the dough. Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna preheat the oven, and then we're gonna bake up each one of these loaves at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes later. I'm gonna sit there and just put them on my sheet pan here. That way it's just easier for me to take it over to the oven and put it all in 1, 2, 3, and let's bake them. So I'm gonna commence putting these right on to my cookie sheet like I said. Now I'm just gonna sit there and off to the oven for some lovin'. Well, the oven went off. Let me go grab the loaves of bread and bring them on over to the counter here. Ooh, are they looking good too? Ooh, look at that. Oh. Now, we're gonna let them just cool just a little bit so they're easy to remove from the loaf pans. We got them out of the loaf pans. I have them on this wire rack, as you see. And now we're just gonna let them finish cooling off. And as soon as they're cooled off, it's bon appetit time. Now, each one of these is a 1 pound loaf. So, from 4 cups of flour, I was able to get 2 loaves of 1 pound bread. So if you liked what you saw here today, please give me a thumbs up. All the thumbs up helps out my channel. If you're not yet a subscriber, go up, hit that subscribe button, tap that little bell. That way you'll always be notified every time I do put out a new video. And as always, here's to happy bacon, but better yet, happy eatins'. Y'all come back now, you hear?